This is Big Podcast.
Sometimes I'll work with a client, and these could be independent podcasters, but it could be somebody from a company who's got a bigger budget, a much bigger reach, more production. So this doesn't discriminate. This isn't one side or the other on this, but people will ask, what's the one thing that I can do to go viral? Or what's the one thing that I can do to make this podcast great? Or what's the one thing that I can do, whatever. You know, I think it's very easy to get into that. If only I had blank, and it's always one thing. We think that one thing is going to fix everything, and that's not true. With that said, we kind of fall into this with our marketing. I do, you do, everybody does. We make complicated things simple. We go down to where people are, and then we bring them up. I'm going to talk more about that on this episode. It's Build a Big Podcast, the marketing podcast for podcasters. My name is David Hooper. You can find me at bigpodcast.com. This episode, the audio edition of my weekly newsletter, it's called Big Podcast Insider. I send it out via email every Friday morning, New York City time. You can find it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. Go there if you want to follow along. You want to see the images, any videos that I talk about, any links with more information. This is issue 231. Here's what we're going to cover. Want more listeners? Do this. 100 plus ChatGPT prompts for podcasters. Embrace imperfection in podcasting. See what I did there? I didn't edit that. You wouldn't believe how many mistakes I make on this thing. But I chop them out because I respect your time. Make a Blue Yeti sound great. This episode of Build a Big Podcast brought to you by Riverside.fm. Riverside's a virtual recording studio that makes recording and editing at the highest quality possible accessible to anyone. Studio quality recordings. If you didn't have two people in the same place, it used to be damn near impossible. But now, thanks to Riverside.fm, you're going to look and sound your best. It records you and your guests locally, bypassing poor and unstable internet connections and giving you studio quality audio and video, regardless of where you and your guests and your co-host are in the world. You're going to get instant transcriptions powered by AI with 99% accuracy. Look, man, I used to have to do them by hand. Actually, I'd hire a court reporter to do it. Didn't get 99% accuracy. And it certainly wasn't as inexpensive as Riverside.fm. If you want to check it out, and you do, you owe it to yourself and your guests to look and sound your best. Go to Riverside.fm. They're going to give you a couple hours for free. Do an interview. Do 2 interviews. Knock out a couple of episodes. See how you like it. Get those AI transcripts. They got what they call magic clips. It's a great tool for social media. It takes your long-form content, chops it up into bite-sized, snackable content for social media, and then use those clips to get those people back to your podcast. What I'm saying is you can record, you can publish, you can edit, and you can market your podcast with Riverside.fm. Again, 2 hours for free at Riverside.fm if you want to stick around. I've got a discount code for you. It's going to get you 15% off. That's Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST, Riverside.fm. Set yourself up on a free account. Check it out if you want to stick around. The discount code, Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. Here we go. I'm going from thing to thing to thing. I mentioned them already. They're all about podcasting. Sometimes it's difficult to know when I go from one thing to the next because of that. So here's what I do. I'm going to play this sound. Boom. That's the demarcation point. That's how you know. If you want more information about what I just talked about, go to newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 231. You ready? You want more listeners? Do this. Just a few weeks ago in Canada, did you see what happened? They had a big election. And let's go back a couple of months ago. If we go back that far, if you'd taken that moment in time, we would have seen just the opposite results. The winners of this election, they were losing big time. And then they took a little trick that radio jocks and pro wrestlers have known about for years. They called out what I call the enemy. Let's put that in quotes because there is no enemy. People are complicated. Your listeners aren't idiots. They understand that there's gray in everyday life and nothing is black and white. But the enemy, that lets you segment things. That lets you talk about what you're fighting against. That lets you talk about what you want to overcome. That lets you talk about that one thing that you think is going to make your life 10 times better or absolutely perfect or whatever we think our life would be if we just took care of that one thing. You know what it is. You've got one of those. We've all got one of those. And that's the point. Your listeners, they're like you or me. We wish the world were less complicated And we wish that we had the enemy, that one thing that we could fix that would simplify everything. Conservative politicians do this all the time. They talk about secure our borders, cut the red tape, back the blue, free market first, parents know best. It doesn't work that way, guys. Free market first. You know what the opposite of free market is? Tariffs. That's not free market. You know what the opposite of red tape is? Tariffs. You know what the opposite of back the blue is? Attacking cops at the Capitol. Again, people aren't idiots, but they want to believe in the fantasy. That's my point. And before you say, maybe you're already doing this, David, you're going against the conservatives. Whatever the progressives, they do it too. Yeah, they do. They've got simplistic things as well. Medicare for all, raise the wage, protect our planet, love is love, books not bans. Every one of these things that I'm mentioning, conservative, progressive, middle of the road, there's a flip side of it. And the flip side is the enemy. The flip side is wrong. I've got the enemy on this podcast. Go look at the social media. I make jokes all the time about Blue Yeti. That's the enemy. Don't edit your podcast. Oh, you're the enemy. How dare you? Everybody's got the enemy. It doesn't have to be life or death. It could be fun. It could be one of those things where you're laughing at yourself. Yeah, everybody's got a Blue Yeti. I got one. I'm not using it right now. I don't like editing, but I do. Everybody's got this. Again, it doesn't have to be life or death. It could be something you poke fun at. What it allows you to do is cut through the noise, get attention, and be able to explain your position in a deeper way that would otherwise get lost. I don't have a problem with the Blue Yeti. It is a great mic if you know how to use it. The issue is, it is such a popular mic, most people don't know how to use it, and it sounds like balls. That's why I make fun of the Blue Yeti. I'm making fun of it in this issue. You want to see it? It's newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 231. On the flip side of that, and we'll talk about this later in this episode, how to make a Blue Yeti sound great. I mentioned this earlier. We can't expect our listeners or anybody to come up to where we are. You, as a podcast host, you are an expert. Your listeners are listening to you because they respect you as an expert. They're trying to be more like you. So go down to their level, bring them up to where you are. They're not able to get where you are, not now anyway. If they were, they would have their own podcast. By the way, if you need help coming up with a message that cuts through the noise for your podcast, let's talk about it. Big Podcast AMP, bigpodcast.com/AMP. You know what? I got an idea. Let's talk about it. Big Podcast AMP. If you like this newsletter, you're going to love Big Podcast AMP. That's AMP. It stands for Audio Monetization Program. It's a personal coaching program, and it's going to help you do three things. It is me working with you to, 1, grow your podcast audience, 2, get people talking about your podcast, and 3, make more money with your podcast and your podcasting skills. You can get the details, all the information you want, bigpodcast.com/AMP. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. 100 plus ChatGPT prompts for podcasters. I have the link. You will find it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 231. These are 100 plus prompts for ChatGPT that are a great way to look at your podcast from different directions. Using these prompts, you will be helped to create a content calendar, generate episode outlines, fine-tune your episode outlines, generate a variety of episode titles. You want something catchy? ChatGPT can handle that heavy lifting. Are you going to use exactly what it comes up with? Yeah, maybe. Maybe you're going to want to edit it. It's a great idea generator regardless. It's going to help you speed up your research, grow your network on social media, write SEO-friendly episode descriptions. There are a ton of ways to use ChatGPT for your podcast. I have 100 plus different prompts. These are free, by the way. I've got them linked, newsletter.bigpodcast.com. It's issue number 231. This is going to help you remove guesswork, improve your workflows, and grow your audience. All you need is the right prompt. I got 100 plus of them. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 231. Embrace imperfection in podcasting. I want to be very clear about this. This does not mean that you do not edit your podcast. You say, climb up on that raw podcast audio high dive and swan dive off that bitch. No. But we do want to embrace imperfection in podcasting. Producing a podcast can be both exciting and overwhelming. 3 elements that I want you to keep in mind. The first one, perfect is the enemy of done. If you get too caught up in being perfect, you're never going to release an episode. I know a lot of podcasters, they never release their first one. They call themselves podcasters, but podcasters, look, part of it is publishing, getting the stuff out there. It's not just recording, talking about podcasting, thinking about podcasting. You actually have to record and get something out into the world. Perfect is the enemy of done. If you can't get it out, it will not help people. Even imperfect podcasts help people. Second thing, people are paying less attention than you think. I know it feels like the world is watching us when we release an episode. There are plenty of times when I've released something, later found that I made an editing mistake or said something that maybe wasn't factually correct. Who knows? There were mistakes within the episode. Nothing came of it. It doesn't mean we get lazy. It doesn't mean we shouldn't edit our podcast. Sometimes things slip through, though. Even the most perfect podcast is imperfect. I find this with the books that I write, by the way. I've got multiple people looking over the books that I write. Editors, copy editors, proofreaders. I'm looking over them. I've got beta readers. Again, a lot of people. And I'll get to do the audiobook. And I'll think, oh, damn it. A typo slipped through. It happens. But most people don't know because people are paying less attention than you think. You think the world is looking at you. No, they are not. That's another problem. You don't want the whole world looking at you, just a few people. And it's usually, unfortunately, less than you think, less than you want even. The third thing, the beginning is a great place to make mistakes. I had a recent situation with a new show that I'm working on. There's some communication mix-ups. And, things went a little left to center. It happens. But I'd rather it happen then than in the heat of things. Once the thing is released, once we're in the middle of the launch, whatever. You want these things to happen early. I've got more thoughts on imperfection. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 231. But let's look at these three things. Remember these. 1, perfect is the enemy of done. 2, people are paying less attention than you think. And 3, the beginning is a great place to make mistakes because fewer people are paying less attention than you think. Man, once the eyes are on you, then it gets tough. By the way, this is a perfect time for me to give a shout out to Larry Roberts. Do you know Larry? Worked with Larry for a few years. There's a podcast called Branded. You know him as the Red Hat guy. Red Hat Media, not MAGA. There's a top 10 Netflix show right now called Untitled, the Liver King. And this is about this guy, social media dude. He ate raw meat, not just raw meats, but I'm talking about like haggis filling, guts, man, intestines, that kind of thing. Everybody's watching him. He's got this crazy physique, totally jacked, claims he's all natural. He gets it from eating raw meat, liver, testicles, whatever. Well, it turns out there was about $11,000 worth of pharmaceuticals going in his body per month. And this show, again, it's on Netflix, Untold, the Liver King. It is worth watching because it talks about what happens when you become huge and everybody's watching you. Now, part of that, self-inflicted. This is a dude who was obviously doing steroids. Anybody who's ever been around that stuff, you can tell. And there's signs. Not a natural physique. He could have just said, yeah, I do PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. And everybody's like, oh, okay, cool. But he didn't. And that's another lesson. Anyway, embrace imperfection in podcasting. If you want more information about this and links to the entire article, that's newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 231. Make a Blue Yeti sound great. There's a saying among runners and people at the gym. Speaking of guys like Liver King at the gym, no matter how slow you go, you're still lapping everyone on the couch. And the same is true for people using a Blue Yeti. I talked about the enemy earlier. I make fun of the Blue Yeti all the time simply because a bunch of people have the Blue Yeti. It's a very popular mic. Is it the best mic? Arguably not. But if you know how to use it, you can make a podcast that sounds great. I've got a 5-step trick for you. It's going to make your Blue Yeti sound great. It's actually going to help make most mics sound great. The first one being a quiet space. That sounds obvious, but when I do remote interviews, and I do a lot of them, because I'm in a quiet space, talking about the 5x8 closet, the red room, full of foam, rock wool sound absorption panels, it is a dead room. A guest will hear me coming through, and I've got a nice mic. I know how to speak into that mic. I've got this quiet room. Guests will assume that they sound just as good as I do because they're hearing me, not hearing themselves. They do not. A quiet room, not obvious to most, maybe obvious to podcasters, but with that said, it needs to be said. That's the first thing. One, be in a quiet space. The second thing, this is a Blue Yeti or any other desktop stand mic. Place it on a rubber surface. I've got a coaster like you put a glass on. It is made out of recycled tires. You got a piece of a yoga mat, something like that. That works as well. Why do you do that? That absorbs shock. Your mic on a desktop stand is picking up little rumbles, little vibrations from that desk. You can't hear them, but they're on the recording. You want to try to mitigate those? A shock absorber. I like something made of rubber. If you got no rubber, you could try a paperback book. Don't have it directly on your desk. The third thing, and this is specifically for the Blue Yeti and some mics, not the mic I've got like an RE20, but a lot of mics where you can switch patterns. You want to use the cardioid mode. Looks like a heart, cardioid, heart. It also looks like a butt. Switch the pattern to cardioid mode. By the way, I feel like I need to say this because I see so many pictures of people speaking at the wrong end of a Blue Yeti. The mic that I'm using is called an RE20. I've got it linked. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com if you want to see it. I speak into the end of it. You do not speak into the end of a Blue Yeti. It looks like you might. That confuses some people. Anyway, speak into the side. And I've got diagrams of all this, newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 231, if you want to see this. On the Blue Yeti, you're going to see two knobs on the back. One is the pattern knob that I just mentioned. That's the one that you switch to cardioid. The other is the gain. You're going to turn that all the way down. That is to the left. Turn it counterclockwise. That is because the Blue Yeti, very sensitive. If you crank it up, it is going to pick up everything. Not just you, but cars driving outside, somebody outside your room, the ceiling fan, the air conditioner, your computer, whatever. It picks up everything. That's why you want to turn the gain all the way down. Again, that's to the left. If you want to see a photo of this, newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 231. The fifth step, you want to get close, 2 to 3 inches. The mic that I'm speaking into now, not a Blue Yeti, but an RE20, I'm 2 or 3 inches away. You want more signal to noise. You might have heard that. It's picking up everything. So I want to get close and I want to bombard it with signal. In this case, my voice. In your case, your voice. Bombard it with signal. Not too much to where it's too hot and starts clipping. That's why you're turning that gain all the way down. That's how this works. Want more information about this? You want to see this diagram? Newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 231. Hey, thanks for listening to Build a Big Podcast. If you're not subscribed, look, I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. Yeah, you need to do it. If you're not subscribed, you're serious about podcasts, you want more information about it, want to make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe. This is how to do it. Go to bigpodcast.com. I've made it very easy on you. One button for Android, one button for iPhone, one button is an RSS feed. No matter how you like to get your podcast, you're going to be able to get Build a Big Podcast with one button. Just one click is all it takes. Instantly, the latest episode of Build a Big Podcast goes from the Big Podcast supercomputer into your phone, into your computer, wherever you're listening to podcasts. Man, I'm not judging. I just want you to listen. So go to bigpodcast.com, make sure you subscribe. And if you want more information about working with me, Big Podcast AMP, it's online as well, bigpodcast.com, AMP. It stands for Audio Monetization Program. I would love to work with you. I've got something new coming up. I am finally finishing up my podcast launch plan book. I'm going to have a course that's attached to that. If you're working with me via AMP, you're going to get that course for free. What I'm going to be doing is going through an early version of it to perfect it within AMP. There's going to be a lot more one-on-one time. It's going to be a great way to work with me and launch or relaunch your podcast. I'm super excited about this book. It's about 72,000 words right now. I've got maybe another month on the manuscript. Because when I say close, I mean, it's close, but not like next week close. We're maybe looking at by the end of the year. But yeah, there's an attached course to it, some other stuff. I really want to help you get your launch set up because as I talked about on this podcast, at the beginning, it's a great way to make mistakes. We're going to go through all the mistakes that you can make them, move forward, get you big. And when you're ready, you'll be mentally prepared for that success. But you're also going to have a podcast that when people do start listening to you, they're going to want to spread it. You're going to be set up to make money off of sponsorships. If that's how you want to monetize, you can have a back end if you want to do that. I can help you do that. I'm going deep with launching and relaunching podcasts. That's the next phase for what I'm going to be doing with people. And if you're interested in getting an early glimpse of that, bigpodcast.com/amp. That has more information. Thank you for listening to Build a Big Podcast. I appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next episode.